What's up, YouTube? This is Buckshot33, and this is a response video to Golden Car Comics. He did a tag video asking about our earliest memories of comics, basically what brought us into comics, and basically got us into the part where into what we're doing now, which is collecting and wasting all of our money on them. No, I'm just joking. So the way I started out into comics, I'm gonna do it like this. The way I was introduced to comic book characters is different from how I got into comics. So I'll just give basically an origin of me going into comics as a whole. So as a kid, I was about 3 years old when I first became conscious of comic book characters. Now, I didn't know they were comic book characters specifically. I just knew of these characters because of different things I saw. Being little, I had, every little kid has a bunch of different books and stuff like that. We had a Superman book, and we had a, Spider-Man book. And they were just, little kid books. Like, just, not, I forget what those ones are called. Not the ones that have, like, that little binding on the side. Like, if I had one to show you, I would show you, because I know, like, somebody must know what they are. You can, leave it in a comment if you know. But anyway, so it would just be, a book that I would sit down and my mother would read to me. And, she used to she's the one that introduced me to those characters, like Superman and Spider-Man. And, of the two, my favorite was Spider-Man, because being little, I was 3, so being 3 years old, my mom used to sit there and before she'd read it and everything, she would sing the Spider-Man song with it. And so I would just sit there and she'd sing the song and I'd get all excited and happy and we'd, go to the book. So, and I used to read those all the time, as far as I would open them up and look at the pictures and make my own story and, just go from there. So, along with that, just to, a little bit of background. So I grew up in the 80s, and the other way I was introduced to those characters was through television. And so, for me, the first characters that I actually got to know was through television shows, and there was reruns of the live-action Incredible Hulk with Bill Bixby, and I used to love that show, especially when he turned green, because he don't like me when I'm angry, and his eyes turned yellow, and it was awesome. And also there was the Spider-Man show, the live-action Spider-Man, and then on the DC side of things, there was, the Batman show, of course, that we all know with, the whole Adam West and, just Cesar Romero's Joker and everything. And, so I used to like that too, because it was fun, they would just sit there, pow, boom, and all that. And then also the Linda Carter Wonder Woman show, which, I remember the theme song. I didn't used to like to watch it all that much, but I remember, it was on. I was little, so, it was, when you're little, you're like, oh, it's a girl show. And that was my thing. I was just like, oh, it's a girl show. But the other one that really brought me into it, brought me into comics a lot, as far as television was concerned, was the 80s cartoon, which was the Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. And it would be Spider-Man, Iceman, and Firestar. And I remember I used to love that show. I used to watch it every Saturday. Oh, I used to love it. And that's so when I was little, my favorite character out of everybody, my number 1 was Spider-Man. My number 2 was Batman. And number 3 was the Hulk. And so I used to love those shows, and that's where I got into it. And I think about the time I was 4 years old, for my Christmas and Easter, and I think actually my birthday every once in a while. It wasn't consistent with my birthday, but it was absolutely consistent with Easter and Christmas. I would get comic books along with whatever stuff you get. So Easter, you get the Easter basket. In my Easter basket, there would be some candy and a couple small toys and stuff like that, and then there'd be comic books. And then for Christmas, in one of the packages I would get, there would be 2 or 3 comic books. And so the titles that I was introduced to as into comics was G.I. Joe and Transformers, which were the easiest two because I was a little kid, and that's what I used to watch every single day. Like, I mean, we used to be able to just watch the reruns all the time. So every day after school, every day, just basically it was after school. I don't think they had any Saturday morning G.I. Joe until later on, but I used to watch those every day after school all the time. And then when I was, I want to say, a little bit, I was 5 when I got my next title, because there was 3 I was introduced to as little, as a very little kid, and that was G.I. Joe, Transformers, and then Batman, and I was able to get that through my Aunt Susan. At Halloween, we used to go to her house, and she used to always have, we would go there, and she'd have a goodie bag set up for us. And, she would come in and, show us, we'd show off our costumes and everything, and then we'd go and open our stuff. And so my sister used to get coloring books and stuff. And then for me, there was comic books waiting for me in there. And, it was awesome because I didn't expect it right away. Like, I didn't even know that was going to be in there. I just thought it was, candy, and that was it. But I was given my first 2 Batman books by my Aunt Susan. And those are, and I'll show you the first one. It is Batman number 408 and Batman number 409. And what's significant about these, and these aren't my original copies at all, because if I knew at 5 years old to take care of these like this, trust me, like, I would have all my toys pristine and everything like that, and I don't think I have anything that I grew up with at all. I think pretty much all of it either got destroyed or thrown away. I mean, I wasn't too rough with my stuff, but being a little kid, you don't think about it. So, so this is the basically first meeting between Batman and Jason Todd. I didn't know that. These I bought in a dollar bin, I want to say probably like around a year ago. I may have my originals at my mother's house somewhere. If I do, I'll definitely go ahead and show the comparison, because I was very rough on my comics. I used to just read them over and over and over again. But it ended up being something where, these are what helped me to get into it, just because I knew that basically during, holidays I was going to get a comic book. So that's what I counted on as I started to get older. I'm like, oh, I'm getting a comic book. Yay. And then, as we got a little older, didn't work out so much like that. Like, we ended up, just kind of doing other things. So we wouldn't go to, it just ended up being where it's just my mother, kind of stopped doing that every year. But I ended up, when I was 9, getting introduced to another title that would end up really heavily influencing my collecting habits and just collecting in general for a long, long time. And that was, when I was 9 years old, I went to a after-school program, and one of the after-school program counselors, was a big comic fan herself. And so she would always, just bring in different stuff, and we always used to ask, oh, can I read that? Can I check this out? So it got to a point where, we were always asking to read her comics. And she didn't mind. She was fine with it. But I think after, I had asked a couple times, and she talked to me about him, and she was just like, and I remember commenting on Wolverine, because I had seen him in the book, and he had the claws and everything. And I remember, that X-Men Pride of the, Kitty Pride of the X-Men, or the X-Men cartoon that they had made, where Wolverine's this little Australian guy, and, but I remember his claws. I remember that, and I was like, oh, he's really cool, because he has the claws like that. And so, she came back the next week with a bag full of comic books, and, she basically gave them to everybody. And the comic that she gave to me ended up being X-Men number 2, which is the Jim Lee X-Men number 2, from 1991. And, that was what set me off on my X-Men kick. I mean, from that point on, I loved the X-Men completely. I was all about, just Jim Lee's X-Men, and just, and they did a good job, I guess, after he had left. I think it was Andy Kubert picked up, and he kind of tried to emulate his style for a while. So I didn't know the difference, but that's what really set me up. And it was just like, anytime I would go to a comic book store, it would have to be X-Men or X-Force, something X. I wasn't a big fan of X Factor, just because I didn't like the way it was drawn. And obviously it wasn't the X-Men characters as I knew them. If it had been the original, I would have absolutely been into it, just because it looked really cool. But yeah, I was definitely, you know, big X-Men and X-Force fan, and you know, that's what set me off on that. So basically, you know, that's my beginnings into comics, is just, you know, having them given to me as a kid, and then you know, just finding something I really, really liked, and just kind of collecting that on, you know, all the way through, and then, you know, as time went, you know, things changed and evolved, but that was it. That was the beginnings for me. So I was basically 5 years old when I got my first books, 4 or 5, somewhere in there, and just you know, so I've been doing it for a long time. Kind of, you know, you take breaks here and there. It happens. You know, things happen. You know, just sometimes you fall out of it, and so I kind of, you know, gone through the ups and downs, roller coaster ride basically. So I'm glad to be collecting again. It's a ton of fun, and I'm glad to be able to share my story with you guys. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and end this, but I'm not going to end this without tagging somebody else. So the people that I want to tag for the video, just to kind of hear about what it was that got you into comic book collecting, what was the first titles you had, whether it was the first books you got, or just what introduced you into comics that made you want to get them. I mean, whether it was you saw a movie and you were into it, you had, you know, an uncle or a cousin that just was into it, and then you went from there. You know, something like that. Like, I want to know what other people are out there, you know, what got you into collecting. So the people I'm going to tag in this is going to be my friend, the Hooded Hero, my friend Lewis. He has been away for a little bit, but, you know, definitely want to hear like what Lewis has to say, what got him into comic book collecting. Also want to tag, Splash Page Comics, just because he has a phenomenal collection, and I want to hear like what it was that got him directly into it. Also, Old Men Gamers. I want to hear what got you into collecting, my man, just because, you know, I love to hear other people's stories, so that's what I'm tagging. The Hooded Hero, Splash Page Comics, and Old Men Gamers. So, you know, just go ahead and let us know what got you into it. I want to thank everybody for watching. I will have some videos coming up. I definitely have a haul video that I have to do from Comic Book Wednesday, so that's coming up soon. And also have an unboxing to do as well. So, you know, have some stuff that I'm definitely going to have up, you know, for you guys. So thank you for watching. Again, this is Buckshot33, aka Boston Chris. Check out Golden Cow Comics. Check out his page. And as always, happy collecting. I'm out.